Forgot what I was going to say, which is a common theme with me. What's your username on TikTok?
Me?
Yeah.
I can't believe you have to ask. Sometimes I'm on there for a couple hours and I get going. Johnny's done, ladies and gentlemen. He got banned. TikTok game.
It was that drink he took.
That's what it was. And
sorry, guys, I was having cat problems.
No, it's okay. It happens. It happens.
We'll have you back on either to talk about how it goes or what to avoid to not get banned.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
There he goes.
Oh,
right.
There, I'm out. Yeah, my mom calls the other day and she's like, "Hello, it's your mother. You always call." She's like, "It's your mother. You always call this time on Sunday," which I don't. I never call her Sunday.
Always call your mother, Doug.
Yeah. I can never call you at 5:30 on Sunday. So you didn't call, so I'm checking in.
You have to call your mom from your teenage boy room.
That's right. my 80's phone. Your plastic. Hey, Mom.
When your wife gets mad at you, she's just like, "Go call your mother from your teenage girl room."
All righty, we'll let you go so you can get working on it, Russ.
All right, gentlemen.
You got to do your closing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're just walking out by. I figured out what's wrong tonight. Johnny don't have your hat on.
Oh, no.
God.
I didn't even realize that.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Finder Flippers Resale Podcast. Gentlemen, we've got a special one tonight. What episode are we on, Johnny?
Guys, feeling groovy. It's episode 70. That's crazy. That's like a big number.
That is a big number. I agree.
Man. Special guest, Snoop Dougie Doug in the house. Guys, this is going to be good. I'm excited.
Yeah, Doug's a lot of fun. I've known Doug for pretty much since I've been a full-time reseller. I met Doug first at the Boss Reseller Remix in Vegas, in 2021, and then have gotten with him at a couple of other reseller conferences. Going to be a fun show, so without further ado, let's bring in Snoop Dougie.
There he is.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Dougie.
What's going
How
on,
are you,
man?
my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? Congratulations on 70 episodes. That's great. It's an honor to be here.
Appreciate you coming in and joining us on episode 70.
Of course.
I know that you and I have talked a couple of times in the past. Johnny, have you ever talked to Doug before?
I don't think so. Were you, Doug? Were you at any of the flip cons?
Yeah, I was at 2 of them.
Yeah. Okay. I think we probably met casually in passing then.
Yeah. In the food line, at the bar. Who knows?
Yeah, a lot of lines.
Exactly.
Well, Doug, the first thing that I want to jump into super quick is your LPs on the wall again.
Okay, cool.
I know we had touched on it a while back, but we've got a little treat for you. We're going to show you a couple things. Stuart, you want to start with yours?
Oh, yeah, it was funny. It was very, very timely with you coming on the episode at the thrift shop yesterday. I actually happened to find 2 pieces of vinyl straight out of the 80s.
All right. I'm very excited.
Brings back a lot of fashion memories here, I'm sure. So,
all right, DeBarge. Go.
yeah.
Yes. Probably some Z Cavarici pants on that cover there. Very nice.
And then a little Houdini, the freaks come out at night. So.
Very nice. Very nice. Excellent. That is cool.
So it just seemed good timing. I hardly ever find 80s vinyl, and I found 2 yesterday. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
I'm going to take you back a little further, Doug.
All right.
70s. You ready for this?
Oh, there we go.
That's actually
Chicago
60s
Trend.
there.
Is that 60s?
Nice.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's the
Trend.
first album. It's like 67, maybe?
I believe.
Nice.
That's Peter Cetera right there, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to say, when does Peter Cetera come into the mix for Chicago?
Yeah.
Is he early or late?
He was there from the get-go.
And then, here you go, Doug.
Nice.
Three Dog Night.
Dog Night. Yep, naturally.
And this one opens up.
Back in the days, the gatefold sleeves, he used to open them up, look at them, pour over the liner notes. These kids now don't know what they're missing out on. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. And I just found those 2 this past weekend. So I was really excited about those.
But yeah, real quick. So yeah, those I've had some of these since the early '80s. I'll move around. I mean,
Men at Work.
that meant one of the first albums I ever got. Some of these are super old, and my wife teases me that she says teenage girls room. I prefer teenage boys room because that's not as creepy, depending upon how you say it. But got all this stuff. There's other stuff around. Of course, have a requisite Duran Duran wall, a Smith's wall. There's other stuff. But to plug, I've got the Albums That Saved Us podcast. That's my music podcast that I rarely update. And now, as Stuart's been on the Evolving Snoop Dougie show on Tic-Toc, which is an 80s based music show that I'm doing different things with. And we play music, we do games and stuff like that. So kind of leaning into TikTok and trying to grow on there, but it's music based. But yeah, what am I doing now? I'm trying to branch out on my own. I sell. I'm really leaning into TikTok, really leaning into AI, looking for some new stuff, and ultimately the goal is to become kind of my own boss, doing all kinds of different things. So that's kind of what's up right now.
So are the TikTok lives, are they as overwhelming from your side as they are just from a viewer watching it? Because it's like so much going on. I mean,
it's so TikTok's super interesting because I've been on there for a long time, and it would be one of those things that I would just post on. And then so over the last couple of months, my wife connected with some people on there, and there's different types of TikTok lives. There's like growth rooms, there's entertainment, there's people that just help people grow, there's people that sell, and there's so many rules, and there's so many things you're supposed to do, and there's things you can't say, and there's things you're supposed to encourage that you're not supposed to say. And because it's like you're supposed to encourage people to tap, but you're not supposed to say tap. You're supposed to encourage people to gift, but you're not supposed to say gift. And then there's things they don't want you to drink on camera, and they don't want you to be using it. See, like Johnny, you get in trouble.
Johnny just lifted. Right on cue.
I try to make a joke out of it, so I'll lean off and drink off camera, and then I TAP that screen, and you'll see all kinds of different stuff on there. Like you'll see people that'll play music and not be on screen, and then you'll see people that are crazy over the top. And I'm not crazy over the top. I try to be pretty active, but I'm kind of just trying different things. And my wife kind of got me into this, just trying this and trying to grow a bit. And we make a little bit of money, but we know people that make a lot of money. But the point is to be like consistent. And there's a lot you have to do. They basically want you to be on there all the time and engaging all the time. And but it does go by pretty fast. So I mean, my setup so obviously I podcast, do things like that. So I've got a light, I've got the lights, I've got a monitor, I've got my laptop, I've got a mixer over here, headphones, and a pro setup, but it doesn't really work well with my phone yet. I mean, I'm working on that, but basically I have my phone on a tripod, and my wife is out in the living room. And part of the reason people like it is because she yells back and forth at me things, and because that works for us. And it's just like, no, I can't say that. But so, were you there the night I got banned, Stuart?
No, I was not there the night you got banned.
So one of the weird, like Stuart knows. So Stuart and I have done music stuff together, and I go off on tangents, and I love to talk about weird musical things. So one of the nights I was playing Falco, like Rock Me Amadeus or something, and I was like, Falco gone too soon. And I went into factually the story how Falco died because he was on a drunken cocaine bender and crashed into a tree and killed himself. And then suddenly my live shut down. And so apparently I had said too many TikTok no words in too short an amount of time. And so it just ended. And you're not supposed to talk about drugs or alcohol. You're not supposed to talk about death or killing. And I got shut down, and I got a message from TikTok saying that my live had been shut down due to a violation. And then it said, would you like to take a quiz to, I don't remember the wording, take a quiz to appeal your violation. So I took the quiz, and it was about a quiz on the Tic-Toc rules. And it was 4 questions, and I got 2 tries at each question, and I flunked the quiz. So the ban remained. And then they said, would you like to appeal the ban? And then I said, yes, I would like to appeal, because I thought they were going to ask some questions. And then within 20 minutes, the ban was lifted, but it was a 2-day ban. So since then, I've been more careful, but I think, every once in a while I do slip up, but I try to be careful, but it's one of those things too. Is like people get away with stuff. There's people that cuss on there all the time, but I do think it's super interesting. I think there's a lot of opportunity on there, and like I use a lot of AI. All my images are AI generated, and I'm still learning a ton. There's different people we follow. There's one guy we follow. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's called the Tic-Toc Cinderella. So basically within the last couple months, he's gone from homeless to he's gotten connected with TikTok, and now he makes thousands of dollars on TikTok, and he's living in a hotel, and he goes up to the TikTok headquarters all the time. And now he just mentors people on growing on TikTok.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a cool story.
Yeah. But the whole thing is the more time you spend on there, and they basically want you to be on there all the time. So there's only so much I can do, but there's a lot more I need to be doing. So I'm going to try and keep leaning into it. So another thing I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and do a half hour, just pure music, or I'm not, because the Snoop Dougie show is kind of like, hey, all right, Stuart's here. Let's ask him a trivia question. And let's get some requests. Johnny's got a request. Let's play some Depeche Mode for Johnny, and then stupid games, and then sometimes I'll air drum, sometimes I'll lip sync, and just different crazy things. But then we'll see where it goes. It's like, I think the most I've made for one show is $10 so far.
So I know with you playing music, I know on a lot of the platforms you can't monetize if you're playing copyrighted music. Is that not a thing on TikTok? I mean, can you use?
That's what I was getting ready to ask him about copyright.
So it's interesting. So I haven't had a problem in the background live when it's playing, but I shared something and it was longer. The clip was longer than a minute. So they took down the clip because the song was longer than a minute. But that's also come to pass in the podcast world for me as well. So I had a music podcast, or I have a music podcast, The Albums That Saved Us. And so it makes sense if you have a music podcast that maybe you'd want to play music, but because of copyright and licensing issues, it's a challenge. So for a while on Spotify, you could play music in a podcast as long as it was on Spotify only. So what I used to do is I would record an episode, and I would have a music episode on Spotify with music from Spotify. And then I would have a non-music episode like out on Apple and all that. And then I switched to my music podcast was music only. And then for some reason that went away on Spotify. So now
they got rid of that, like 2 years ago, I think, didn't they? With that?
Yeah. So, but I am working on another. It's going to start out as a local in my area, Southern California, a local music thing with a pretty well-known DJ. We're going to start something with local bands and local clubs. And then he's got an archive of interviews back to the early 80s that he owns everything. So I think at some point it's going to segue into that as well. But that's kind of up and coming.
So is this all underneath your DAS Content Media umbrella?
Yeah. That's my, I've done all kinds of different side projects and contracted stuff. So that is, that's what I call my company that nobody knows how to say the name. I say DAS Content. Some people say DAS Content Media. And it's a play on discontent. And the logo is based on Depeche Mode's Black Celebration album cover and artwork. Don't tell them that, though. Don't sue me, Depeche Mode. So, but yeah, so that's kind of the umbrella now.
whenever I'm editing films, videos for YouTube, my wife and I go thrifting and stuff like that. You'll get flagged from, Goodwill playing background music or whatever. The easiest thing that I've noticed that gets flagged for copyright, oddly enough, like Christian rock.
Really?
If we're in like a Salvation Army that has like Christian rock playing in the background, it could be on for like 5 seconds and I'll get like a monetization warning. But
That's
like, and you don't even realize it's playing in the background. But those ones pick up the easiest I found. I don't know, random.
I had no idea. You'd think in Goodwill it'd be like Girl from Ipanema or Guantanamera or something like that,
So, hey, Johnny, quick question for you. So, since it's happened to you, whenever you have copyrighted music in the background, is it just you can't monetize that video, or do they actually pull the video down, or does it depend on the artist? Does it depend on...
So when you upload the video, before you post it, but just when you upload it, it'll tell you like Warner Brothers, whatever, 505 to 615. And so, from 505 to 615 in your video, it's picking up music or whatever. So a lot of times I'll either just switch it to a voiceover or edit it where I just kill the background and, whoever's talking is louder. But they actually warn you ahead of time, or it gives you the option that you'll split your royalty, your earnings with whatever company it is, but there's really no money to...
So going in whether it's one that like you can leave it in there and just, they're not going to come sue you for copyright infringement, I guess is the question.
Yeah, you can't monetize it. But I have heard some people have posted videos and then like just in the middle of the video it'll go quiet and they'll just... But it's because whoever blocked out that part of the music. So
it's interesting. Yeah.
So Doug, what are you doing? What are you looking to do with this? Or as far as, because I would think copyright is a major thing to think about and what you're going to try to work around. But where are you going to try to take it with these local bands and stuff? Use their music, or how are you going to do that?
So with the local thing, we think that since they're not the local guys, they're not signed, so they own their music. So we should be able to play their stuff and then go from there. And then when we get to the other interviews, and he's got good connections, and he's with a local radio station, and he's also with iHeartRadio. So hopefully at some point we can tie stuff into that as well. And then obviously they've got much bigger lawyers, and apparently he had to talk to his lawyers about working with me. And they didn't know about a podcast panel I was on with an iHeartRadio VP. And I said to him, I met him and I said, oh, you guys killed terrestrial radio. And he said, what's that? And I said, nothing. So.
Well, that's funny, Doug. We had you vetted by our lawyers too, and you were fine. So.
The interview so far. The screen will crack.
Oh, I wonder how much like music licensing is annually, like through BMI or any of these other public. I know there's like multiple ones you have to license with, I think, to be able to play everything, and I think it's quite expensive, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. And it's still a big business. Probably not as big as it used to be, but it's still a big business. And I don't know, it used to be maybe you could use a few seconds of stuff, it's a bummer that even the Spotify thing went away where you could use the whole song. And then, kind of kills your podcast traffic though, if it can just be Spotify only.
So is it a minute or less, 30 seconds or less on the music, or how does that work, or nothing?
I think now it's nothing, but there used to be a sample rate thing that came up in the 80s where you could use a small snippet, but it was very small. So
I know it's interesting. I don't know if you've ever watched any of the reaction videos where people listen to music and react to it. And usually at the beginning of those on YouTube, they always have a disclaimer. It's like, I don't know, some legal sounding thing that, we're not using this to blah, 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 and it's under the Fair Use Act. But I mean, my guess is YouTube's probably not letting them monetize those videos. Although, I mean, some of those reaction peoples have hundreds of thousands, of followers. So I don't know, they could be making money other ways too through sponsorships, I guess, their own sponsorships and things.
But that's
like
how,
that.
like, when you're watching those, like, so and so reacts, or like, I listened to Stairway to Heaven for the first time.
Yeah.
If you notice, they'll play a snippet of a song and then they'll stop and talk, and then they'll play a little and then they'll stop and talk, because it won't, at least on YouTube, it won't flag that time. Like, YouTube will kind of give you some time before it flags you on that. So that's why they stop constantly.
Well, a lot of the bigger ones, they stop it like a couple of times during the song, but they still play pretty big snippets of it. And, I think one of them was explaining, as long as you're like doing commentary on the song, I guess it's in a gray area of whether you can,
Yeah.
But like you said, Johnny, there's some of them that you'll be watching. I guess there's certain artists that are more stringent than others. They'll just go silent. That when they play the video, there'll be no music. And in those cases, most all of them have a Patreon page too. They'll say, go over to my Patreon page and watch this one because, and a lot of them don't even charge you to go over there and watch it. It's just, I guess Patreon doesn't do the same checks that YouTube does. So, but.
Well, and you say that too, is like, so there's some stuff, like if you reuse something, like especially from Tic-Toc. So what I like to do is a lot of times, because it's easy to make a video or a short video on Tic-Toc and then download it and reuse it across the board. On some of the other sites, I don't think the licensing is the same for some of the songs. So some of the other sites will, hide your video or mute the song.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, have you noticed on Instagram now, you have almost an unlimited music library that you can use for your reels. I mean, and I haven't yet, I've yet to find a song that I've been looking for that's not available. It's just like you said, if you were to then export that out of Instagram, I'm guessing you can't use it on TikTok.
Try the song New York, New York and see what happens.
There you go.
On Instagram?
Yeah, there you'll get shot down.
Well, and it used to be on TikTok, especially, you couldn't export a video without a TikTok watermark, and now you can. So I don't know.
So did you just come up with a master plan and go, I'm going to do this, and this is why I'm going to do it?
On TikTok or just across the board?
On TikTok, because Stuart was telling us a little bit about you being on TikTok. I haven't seen you on there yet, but I'm definitely going to go watch now. But
well, part of it was just trying to do a bunch of different things. I think the ultimate goal is, part of it is the influence of AI. Just trying a bunch of different things and looking at I'm also looking at doing faceless YouTube videos, things like that. And I've got my website dascontentmedia.com, launching a couple other podcasts, working on those things. And then I've always been interested in TikTok, but I kind of backed off. How everybody freaks out every 90 days that it's going away, and then it's not going away for another 90 days. So that would be great too, because I can imagine that happening. It's like I'll be a TikTok star in 2-3 more months, then it's going to go away. So, or somebody buys it and changes it. But it's very interesting. It's a very, very interesting platform, and just the variation across the board of what you see on there. Because you see like kind of crazy people like me, because I'll be like, hey, I'm air drumming. Oh, I'm lip syncing. Oh, we're talking about this. We'll play some songs. And then you'll see a very attractive lady that'll sit there, and she's just sitting there and she's got 1,000 people watching. She's making money. And then you'll see people that are doing crazy stuff or doing other stuff or going out about their day. They're making money. And the more time you spend on there, the more money you make. And then there are people so my wife connected with a group of people that we hang out with called the Home Room, and they help people grow. And so we've kind of segued into some other people too. And so they do what's called these grow rooms. And basically they have these lives where you come in and you add people, and then you'll see them there. They'll be like, tap that screen, give me the daily hearts. Don't forget those gifts, things like that. And I do some of that because that helps me, but it helps the viewers too. And then there's other things you can do. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. I don't think I'll ever learn all of it, but it's a constant learning process. To me, and the coolest thing about TikTok that really makes it stand up, and I hope if it gets bought, this doesn't get changed, is the algorithm. They've got an algorithm that shows you more of what you actually look at than more of what the platform thinks you want to look at or what it thinks you should see. And it can, the TikTok algorithm can shift super quickly. Like if you look at different things, it'll shift within a day because it shifts with you. And other algorithms so Facebook is like, oh, Stuart loves the Beach Boys and REM. Let's show him more of that stuff. But TikTok is literally more dialed into what you're actually looking at. So it's a much better algorithm that other social media platforms have kind of tried to duplicate, but they haven't been able to get the secret sauce. And they say that's why ByteDance has kind of been hesitant to sell it because they don't want to give up the algorithm. So, and that could be why too, if somebody buys it, it could all change. Maybe you just get the platform and you don't get, all the secret sauce. It's like maybe you buy
technology behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. Kentucky Fried Chicken, but you don't get the secret herbs and
you don't get all those spices.
It's just, to me, it's just an interesting platform, the stuff you see on there. But on the other hand, from my perspective, so it's like with the podcasts. It's like when I left eBay, I was like, eBay for Business podcast is great, but there should be a podcast for all the platforms. So I wanted to launch one, but I wanted to be able to do it all myself. So that's why initially I launched my music podcast. But I love stuff that gives people the like what you guys are doing. Maybe you guys make some money doing this, but probably not a lot, right? Maybe not yet, but if you do it for the love of the thing, it's fun, you like it, and it's like there's potentially you could make money. We all know some sellers that do make a lot of money on YouTube, but it's the same thing with the podcast. I enjoy it, and it's like going live on TikTok right now. It's like the most I've made in one couple hour episode was $10, and my wife isn't thrilled with that, but I'm like, if we keep building up, maybe we could get there, and she's like, well, but I like something that's like where somebody can just turn something on and do, within reason, whatever they want, have a show or do it. My wife and I don't know if Stuart's heard. Did you hear about our cooking show that we started last week? So my wife's a great cook. Her mom's like a gourmet cook. My wife's a great cook, and I'm kind of like, you want burgers? Okay, they might be overcooked. But so we started this show last week called What's Cooking Wednesday, where she's in another room and she tells me how to cook something live, and I don't know what it is. And so last week we did lamb, and we did it live, and I got the recipe, and before I printed it, I reformatted it and messed it all up. And we started out live, and I seriously nearly had a panic attack at the beginning because I realized that I messed it all up. It turned out all right, but it was kind of crazy. So that's our new thing that we're trying, What's Cooking Wednesday. And then so one of the guys that follows our shows is this guy, Big Blue Barbecue, and he's a barbecue pit master, and has sent my wife a recipe that I'm to cook tomorrow night. So
that's cool.
We will see. And I think he's going to be in there live tomorrow night, and I'm supposed to cook this.
What time's your show tomorrow?
I think 5:45 Pacific tomorrow.
8:45 Eastern. Yeah, and we might have this episode up.
Okay.
By then, so.
That's cool.
So if this episode's up, watch Doug tomorrow night. That will be July 2nd at 5:45 Pacific. So.
That's right.
But it's not. It's What's Cooking Wednesday.
What's Cooking Wednesday
on TikTok.
I mean, you're on pretty much every night, right?
Yeah. So the Snoop Dougie show we do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then sometimes we do pop-ups on the weekends. But we're kind of messing around with times. 4:45-ish to 5:30-ish before we settle in something. We're still seeing when we get people, because we've got East Coast people and West Coast people. So we kind of kind of want to settle in on a sweet spot, but we're still working on that. So, and I mean, don't come in there and expect there to be 1,000 people in there. I'm not some cute girl in a tank top yet.
Yeah, but when you ride that horse, Doug.
That's right. That's right.
So as far as getting monetized on TikTok, are you getting like some small percentage of all the money people spend for the different, icons and all that? Do you get a direct percentage of that?
There's a little bit you get from those. Those are called rewards. And then TikTok has stuff called diamonds, and there's stuff you can sign up for. There's a lot of incentive stuff. And then you can get, you can sell stuff. You can sign up to sell stuff. And that would be like, oh, look, what's a good thing? Oh, this pen. I'll sell you this pen. This highlighter is like, oh, hey guys, I got this highlighter. And I like it, blah, blah, blah. So my dogs have some stuff that we got for free. And so basically we're supposed to do a video with them. My dog, Kevin, our dog with anxiety who takes trazodone, has a hood that he puts on. He looks like a racehorse, and it's supposed to be for him. So we have a video for that. And then I have a couple pending requests for some t-shirts and shorts that I would get them and do some product videos for. And then there's other stuff you can sell. And then there's all kinds of different incentives, and there's levels for the more you go live. So the higher level you get, the more percentage of incentives you get. And there's gifts people can give. It's all the weird little animated stuff. It's really crazy. But the funniest thing of it is, so I've been on there for years and never really put a ton into it, but we would always be like, Jim, kids are always on TikTok all the time, but we watch them now and they just scroll. So they just scroll and they'll look at something and like it and they just scroll. And now it's like, all right, kids, Mama, you're on your own for dinner. Mom and Dad got to go TikTok live. And then we're doing the whole thing where there's different ways to engage and different ways to do it. And they're like, geez. And then, but the kids forever, it's so interesting. They get their news from TikTok Live. They buy stuff all the time from TikTok Live. It's like, where'd you get that? TikTok Live, TikTok Live, TikTok Live. And then apparently too, is you buy something from TikTok Live and then you can sell it on TikTok Live. And so I'm still learning about that. And it's crazy.
So if you sell on TikTok, you said you had to apply to do that. So if you sell on TikTok and you sell your highlighter, is the payment and stuff built into TikTok?
Yeah, I do. I think it all goes through TikTok. Yeah.
So that'd be like a buy button that would pop up or something when you hold up your Sharpie or whatever. So,
and then, and that's the question. I don't know from our perspective. Obviously, we all sell. I'm a smaller seller, and it's like my wife is like, "Well, I'm going to go through the closet. Can I sell stuff online on TikTok?" I was like, I don't know if you could try. I don't know if you would get in trouble if you could be like, hey, I've got this hoodie. If you're interested, DM me. I mean, you can get in trouble for so much on there. Maybe you could. I don't know. It's almost like.
I had no idea there were that many layers to TikTok. I mean, I'm kind of. When I get on TikTok, and I have been making a few videos, and I get excited when one gets 1,000 views. But when I watch TikTok, I'm just like everybody. I'm just like. Oh, that one looked, it's So, and that's all, until really I watched your live, I'd never even watched a live before to see all this extra stuff. So,
well, and they really want you to engage with everything. So they want you to be like, okay, so let's say I had a live and you guys came and watched my live. So what TikTok would want is for me to go in and engage with you guys. So go in and engage with some of your stuff, share some of your stuff, do that, like it, comment, post it, repost it, do that. And then if you guys message me, I'm to engage with that. But basically what they're trying to do is they want you to spend all your time on TikTok. So basically I spend most of my social media time now on TikTok because I'm interested in that. And then I'm interested in YouTube because I know those are the spots where I can monetize. And I have friends that are like, yeah, I used to make money on Instagram, but it's much harder now than it used to be. And I have friends that are saying, you can still make money on YouTube. You can still make money on TikTok. So that's kind of where I'm going to try to concentrate.
So are there people doing basically a Truman Show on TikTok where they just
Here's my life.
film their whole day? I mean,
Well, I mean, yeah, you will see. So it's interesting to me from, let's just say from like a music perspective, you will see people that are like no joke hardcore DJ setup people that are like got the headphones and got the blah blah blah. And I have pretty much a pro setup here. It's just, and it's probably, I probably have the easy connector, but it's just easier for me to just turn the phone on and people tell me it sounds great. But I also have to move around, and I can't be, if I move away from the mic, et cetera, and I have to be able to hear my wife yelling from the other room. But there are people that are like this, and they'll be spinning tunes, and they're like, "What's up? All right, Wes is here. Wes wants to hear In Excess. Need you tonight. This is for Wes." And then there are people that will do kind of like I do it. They're on a phone and they're playing stuff, and I have good studio monitor speakers so you can hear it well. And then there are music people that will play music and you don't even see them, and they're off screen, and they'll be like, "Oh, thanks for the request, Stuart." And they get the hearts and they won't interact at all. But from what I've learned is I'm there and I'm active and I encourage. So I'll be like, "All right, don't forget to tap the screen, share it out." I say that regularly. And then Stuart will tell you, it's kind of pretty crazy. It's like I'll dance and I lip sync and I'll air drum and I'll be like, "All right, tonight we're playing one of the we do trivia, we do fill in the blank, we do name that tune." One of the popular ones was hum that tune, and people would hate it because they can't understand what I'm humming, but they would love it. So I'd hum the tune and then you would name it and you get a point. And of course the prize is I post the winners in a post on TikTok the next day. And so that's the prize. So you're not playing for anything.
So give us a little sample of Hum That Tune.
We'll what's a song I know?
I don't know. Just think of something in the 80s genre. Come up with something and we'll see who gets it first.
Tune, and you guys can see how bad it is. And then there is a new spin that I have to tell you about that came up last night that we're doing tonight. All right, let's do
Go.
All right, ready?
Yep. Who's going to get the point?
Here we go. Listen closely, ladies and gentlemen. This is an 80s tune. Welcome. Johnny's got his eyes closed. Wes is skeptical. Stuart's ready. Right. Here we go. See?
Come on, sir. It's your idea. Go ahead.
Any takers?
This is going over about as well as
Mad Libs.
Yeah, the Mad Libs.
I mean, Johnny, what does he do to us, man? He gets us in these weird games and stuff.
Mad Libs are fun. Mad Libs are fun.
They're not to Johnny. Ask him about it.
No, not at all.
So
yeah, I'm stumped on this one.
All right. That was Duran Duran's Hungry Like the Wolf, of course. All right. So then last night I played Tony Bass. We did Tony Basil's Mickey. And somebody's like, so I also tell stories. So I said, well, speaking of Tony Basil's Mickey, when I was in marching band in junior high, we played that song. I played trombone. So we were like, and somebody said, "You trombone that tune better than you hum that tune. Why don't you trombone the tunes?" So then I said, why don't we do instrument that tune? So tonight we're going to do instrument that tune. So before the song, we pick the instrument and then I will instrument the tune and then you go from there. So whatever instrument, if you want to do bass guitar, a particular drum, trombone. Last night we did trombone and tuba perhaps violin, harmonica. Oh, we also did harmonica last night. So there you go.
There's whole Instagram channels of drummers who like, guess the intro to this.
That's right.
You know, guess what song this is from the drum
That's
intro.
right.
So
And we've done that too. Name that tune in so many beats. Yeah. So
Yeah, I look forward to you like fluting, some Guns N' Roses.
What's that little thing you do in your mouth? What do you call it? Don't.
what is that?
juice heart.
There you go. Somebody will ask
Yeah.
for that.
We'll see you do that one.
That's right.
Yeah.
You could do them on the kazoo, Doug.
The
that would-
spoons. Yeah,
Do a Cole kazoo episode.
I'll have to work on that. And then
Give us a little Sonny and Cher.
All kazoo all the time.
In a kazoo, Sonny and Cher.
Well, and the funny thing too is so they have on TikTok too, with all the rules, they have these things called battles, and it's a surprise that they call them battles. So basically, it'd be like, let's say Johnny and Wes, you guys come into a room, so that's a live thing, and you invite somebody in, and you guys would have a battle. So what happens in a battle is you've each got your followers in there, and to like a live, you tap the screen. So Wes's followers tap for him, Johnny's followers tap for him, and whoever taps the most in those few minutes of whatever it is wins the battle. And then apparently you can get good money for battles. So, and you can give gifts there too.
So yeah, if you're watching this show, tap
the screen.
whichever of your podcast host
That's
is
right.
your favorite one. So
Tap your
None
favorite.
of this can be good for people's mental health.
Probably. Oh, none of it is. On social media, don't watch any of those documentaries on Netflix.
Here you go, Stu. There's 4 names here, so we'll let everybody just start posting our names on here. Let's see who they vote for.
That's right. Post it
There
in
you
the
go.
comments.
Post it in the comments.
That's right.
First
Chat.
name.
Get in there, chat. So
Get that chat going.
that's right.
So how do you create your trivia? Do you like? Is it? I know you said there's like some fill in the blank stuff, and then you just have like questions that you ask like about the songs or bands or like a name that tune kind of thing.
Yeah, so I have a project in ChatGPT. So I'll go to ChatGPT and I'll be like, hey, let me find a trivia. I'll be like, give me 20 trivia songs or 20 trivia questions about 80s music, 80s movies, 80s songs, etc., etc. So for example, which 80s film featured a killer in a hockey mask?
Friday the 13th.
There you go. And that was a movie themed. Most of them are music related, but sometimes we drift. So I usually have ChatGPT do that. And then another example would be like 80s lyrics. So it would be like, I give you the, let me see if I have one.
And while he's looking, just let the record show, I think I'm a 2-time champion on the.
That is true. You've done well on this. I would give you, and so this is when I can tell a story. So I give you the lyric and you fill in the blank. So pour some blank on me.
Sugar.
And then can you give me the band and the song?
Def Leppard and
Pour Some
Sugar on Me.
Def Leppard.
Yes. And so my story with this song is I've played in bands for many years, but I've pretty much retired. And the last show I played was 14, 15 years ago at the closing summer party of an elementary school with like a total dad band thing. And one of the songs was Def Leppard's Pour Some Sugar on Me. And I was elected to go to the principal, this nice middle-aged lady, and present her the set list. And she said, all the songs are good, but you guys can't do Pour Some Sugar on Me. And I said, why not? She goes, well, you can't do that song. It's inappropriate. And I said to her, why is it inappropriate? Isn't it about drinking coffee? And she said, no. I said, well, what's it about? She's like, you can't do that song. And I was like, okay. And then, of course, I begged the guys to do the song at the very end, and they wouldn't do it because they didn't want trouble.
What made you retire from the live music scene, Doug?
Just I don't know. It's a lot. It's like going live on TikTok. It's a lot of effort for little pay if you add it all up. All the practice time, all the driving, all the gas money. You're making $100 a night if you're lucky. Then
Why am I doing all this?
Your wife will add it up for you, though.
But you're in a band.
Yeah, that's right.
That's non-musical types. That's like your life's dream. If I could sell my soul for anyone's talent, it would be to have some grain of musical ability. But
it was fun. I mean, I saw a lot of stuff.
The young man's game, right?
Yeah, younger man's game. It was fun. Had some good times. But those days are past.
Good times with Snoop Dougie.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right?
There you go. I know. I think it was when I was rehearsing with some band, and I got a call from my wife, and she was pregnant with my son, our second kid, and she's like, "I electrocuted myself plugging in the Christmas lights," and I was like, "Okay, maybe I'm away too much. Don't be electrocuting yourself." So,
Doug, how have you completely moved away from reselling the way you once knew it, or are you still trying to do certain things with your reselling, or are you going to completely just move away from it altogether and you try to do the TikTok thing?
I'm going to be ramping back up, and my wife is going to be relaunching as well. So we're both going to be using List Perfectly. So I'm going to ramp back up, lean back in. I'm going to be a little more focused. So I've dropped Poshmark because I wasn't really selling anything on there. Really eBay focused. I still sell now and then on Mercari, and actually now and then on Depop as well, but mostly on eBay. And so we have and I'm actually going to wind up being a clothing seller because we have so much stuff bagged up in the garage, and my kids have good taste in clothes. So I'm going to sell my son's old stuff and some of my old stuff. And I've still got a lot of books listed, but for a while I'm going to be selling clothes. And then my wife is going to sell a lot of her old stuff and a lot of my daughter's old stuff. So we will be clothing sellers for a while.
You ever sell any of your vinyl?
No.
You don't?
No. I probably ruined it hanging it on the wall, but I've kept my favorite.
It looks cool, though.
It looks cool. That's the thing. It looks cool, and it's one of those things. I don't need people freaking out. Well, technically, this is warped, and it's like, well, did you hang this on a wall? No, man, no. You'd never do that.
No,
I don't hang mine. I just have my few Beach Boys albums back here, so that's.
I thought about that too, but so.
So with you selling clothing, wouldn't Poshmark be a fit?
You'd think, but I don't know. I just got tired of not selling stuff on there. I could relist it. I mean, but like 90 something % of my sales are eBay. So, and then, it's just like they say, the more you list, the more you sell. So, and
that's the thing with Poshmark, though. You got to play the social media game of it with like the sharing and the likes, and we automate it, but it's kind of silly. It's a little antiquated, really.
Yeah, it is. And that's the thing. It's just like, we were talking about with TikTok is Poshmark wants you to spend a lot of time on there. Like you said, doing the social thing, and they want you to go live on there. Whatnot's kind of interesting. eBay Live is interesting, but they have spent so much time. They're really ramping up. I know that they're really ramping up on that this year, but they've, frankly, really lagged on that. I think they should have hit the ground running on that like a couple of years ago, frankly, and they're still slowly rolling it out to different categories. And it's just, I think it's a huge missed opportunity for them.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if eBay eventually just looks to buy like a Whatnot or a District or something to get the live selling, because the few eBay lives I've watched, and I know back when I watched it was not even really like Whatnot, but it was still live selling. It was just kludgy. It wasn't as smooth as your Whatnot and District. So
yeah, Yeah. And and again, back to AI, I just think that's really coming along like a freight train and just really changing multiple industries, and the industries, even if they've got their companies in industries, have to adapt to it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they've got existing stuff, they just have to adapt, and it's kind of just swallowing up companies and swallowing up industries.
Yep.
So, yeah. But,
Yeah, because that'd be kind of cool. I know you don't like to sell records or anything, but if you could sell music related items while you're doing all of your shows and stuff like that, or if there was a store attached to it, just because people will be, in the mood while they're, listening and playing and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've sold CDs and I've sold some memorabilia, stuff like that. I just haven't sold any of my vinyl.
Yeah.
And but that's the thing for me is I just really enjoy talking about music and playing it and being involved in that. So, but I've got plans to kind of grow across the board on different things. With the albums that saved us podcast, and then probably launching a DAS content media podcast that's going to talk about content and AI and things like that, and some seller related stuff as well down the line a bit. So,
Well, looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you. I've really enjoyed this Tic-Toc talk because I think you're the first person we've had on who's really, well, not really. I think the first person who's done anything on TikTok, and you've pretty much jumped in the deep end. So,
yeah.
oh, and keep in mind, I could be all wrong, so you never know.
I guess, like you
Stay
said,
tuned for next week when we bring on a 12-year-old.
That guy's all
That
wrong.
Snoop Dougie guy, he doesn't know what he's doing.
No idea what he's doing. Yeah,
We scroll by him so fast.
that's right. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. Well, Doug, we appreciate your time joining us tonight on the Finders Flippers Resale Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, this was fun.
Very interesting, for sure.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you guys will be over on TikTok. You can come tomorrow and watch me, whatever I'm cooking. I have no idea. So you can find me on TikTok, Snoop.Dougie. SNOOP.DOUGIE.
And you're still on Instagram as well, right?
Yeah, Snoop.Dougie on Instagram, across the board. And then there's Albums That Saved Us and DAS Content Media. And I sell as DAS Content Media now because that sounds more professional.
Well, awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah, this was fun. Thank you so much. Congrats on 70 episodes. That's huge.
Yeah, 70 sounded so grown up and official.
Yeah.
Kind of amazing.
Yeah. I was like, wait, we're at 70?
Wow. Well, we had to reboot at 8 because we took it.
At 8.
Yeah.
Well, they say most don't last past 20. So you guys are beating the odds.
Oh, wow.
We're beating something.
Well, Doug, come back again. Hopefully, after a little bit of time, you can tell us a little bit more on how it's all going for you on TikTok, and share a little bit more and give us some more insights, because that's very fascinating what you're doing, and we're hoping it works out well for you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Hopefully I'm right, or I can come back and be like, I was all wrong.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great evening.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Bye, Doug.
See you, Doug.
All right, bye.
Well, that is all the time we have this evening on the Finders Flippers Resale Podcast. Gentlemen, episode 70. How about it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Love it.
We're well past the senior citizen age now. So,
Yeah. Moving on. And like Snoop Dougie said, most podcasts don't make it past 20. And here we are at 70, gentlemen. 70.
Wow. Yeah, big thanks to Doug. As mentioned earlier, next week we'll have a 12-year-old on to tell us what TikTok's really all about. So.
Get all the inside scoops, right? Well, gentlemen, have a great week of reselling, and let's talk soon.
See
I
ya.
guess.